My parents refused to pay $85,000 to save my son, but blew $230,000 on my sister's lavish wedding. Years later, they showed up. I closed the door. I stand by the window of the children's hospital looking at Ethan through the thick glass of the intensive care unit. 6 years old. He's only 6 years old and he's lying there, hooked up to a bunch of machines that beep and flash green numbers. The doctor just came out of his office, put his hand on my shoulder and said something that turned my life upside down. "Mrs. Callahan, we need to act quickly. It's a rare tumor, but it's operable. The problem is that your insurance only covers basic treatment. For an operation of this complexity, we need a specialist, equipment, and rehabilitation. $85,000. Without the operation, 3 months at most. 3 months. 90 days. 2,160 hours until my son stops breathing. The phone in my hand weighs a ton. My mother's number is on the screen. In large letters, Mom, and a photo of us hugging at a family barbecue 5 years ago. I'm still smiling in that photo. I still believe that family is something you can rely on. I press call. Beeps. 1, 2, 3. Hello? My mother's voice sounds a little irritated. She must have been interrupted from something important, maybe choosing flowers for Blair's wedding, or from another fitting for an $8,000 dress. Mom, it's me, my voice breaks. I swallow, trying to pull myself together. I need to talk to you about Ethan. Pause. I hear her walking away to somewhere quieter. What happened? He's been in the hospital for a week. You said they were running tests. They found a tumor. She needs surgery. Urgent. The doctor says... Again, I can't speak. Tears stream down my face as I stand in the middle of the hospital corridor, not caring who is watching. Mom, we need $85,000. Insurance doesn't cover it. I don't know what to do. Devin has already taken all the shifts he can at work. We can sell the car, but it still won't be enough. We need help. Silence on the other end. A long, heavy silence that fills my ears with cotton wool. Mary, Mom finally says. Her voice is calm. Too calm. You know we have Blair's wedding in 3 months. We've already paid for everything. The contracts are signed. The banquet hall, the catering, the music. It's impossible. I don't understand the words. I literally don't understand what she just said. What? Mary, you understand. It's Blair's wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event. We can't just cancel everything. My heart is pounding so loudly that it feels like the doctors are about to rush in and hook me up to machines. Mom, I say slowly, as if talking to a child, we're talking about your grandson's life, about Ethan, my son. He's 6 years old and he needs surgery or he'll die. Ethan is young, he's strong, he'll pull through, Mom says in a tone as if she's discussing the weather. And a wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Blair has been dreaming about it since she was a child. I hang up the phone. I just press the red button and stare at the black screen of the phone. My hands are shaking so badly that the phone almost falls out of my hands. A nurse walks by, gives me a concerned look, but keeps walking. Everyone here is used to despair, to mothers crying in the hallways, to fathers banging their heads against the walls in helplessness. I am now one of them. To understand how I got here, I have to go back to where it all began. I was always the obedient girl, the responsible one, the smart one, the one you could rely on. My mom used to say, "Mary, you're smart, you'll understand." And I did understand. I understood why Blair could be 2 hours late coming home, but I couldn't. I understood why Blair got new clothes, and I had to wear her old ones. I understood why my parents came to my high school graduation for half an hour, but sat in the front row with flowers at Blair's concert. Blair was our beauty, our star, the one who was forgiven for everything. Broke Mom's favorite vase? It's okay, dear. It's just a vase. Failed an exam? Don't worry, you're so beautiful you don't need to study. Was rude to the teacher? It's probably his fault our Blair is so polite. I was 16 when I got a job at a cafe after school. I needed a laptop for college. My parents said, "You're smart, you can handle it." I did handle it. I worked 5 days a week, came home at 9 in the evening, and did my homework until 1 in the morning. After 4 months, I bought myself a used Dell and was as happy as a child. That same year, Blair turned 13. She got a brand new iPhone for her birthday. All her friends have one. We can't let our daughter be left behind. I kept quiet. I swallowed my hurt, telling myself that it was right, that I was older, I had to understand. Maybe if I had spoken up then, things would have been different. But I kept quiet. I graduated from college with $38,000 in debt. I'm still paying it off, $312 every month, going into the void of the past. Blair started 2 years later. Her parents paid for everything. You know, business is better now. We can afford to help our child. I met Devin in my junior year. He worked as a mechanic, had golden hands and a good heart. We got married a year after I graduated. The wedding was held in the backyard of his late father's house. A simple table, 30 guests. I baked the cake myself. My parents gave us $2,000. We can't give you more, you understand. Business is tough right now. That summer, they went on a cruise to the Caribbean. I saw the photos on Facebook. A year later, Ethan was born. The best thing that ever happened to me. Small, red-haired, with freckles on his nose. My parents came to the hospital, stood by the bed for 10 minutes, said, "He's so cute," and left. My mom called a week later. "Mary, we're having complications at work. Could you lend us $2,000 a month? We need to pay the contractors." I lent them the money. They didn't pay me back. It became a tradition. A call every few months. "Mary, we're having a hard time right now. $500. "Mary, Dad's having problems with his business. $1,500. "Mary, we need it urgently. $3,000. I gave it to them. I always gave it to them. Because I was a smart girl and smart girls help their families. Over 5 years, it added up to about $28,000. Not a cent was returned. And I also babysat for friends of my parents for free. "Mary, you understand. The Johnsons are our friends. They're asking us to watch their son. It's family. We help each other." So I babysat. On Fridays and Saturdays. Ethan stayed with Devin, and I drove across town to babysit someone else's child for free because family. A week ago, Ethan complained of stomach pain. I thought he had eaten something bad. Then he started running a fever. Then he lost consciousness right in the kitchen. Ambulance, hospital, tests, CT scan, tumor, rare, aggressive, but operable. We had to act fast. $85,000. Our insurance is basic, the cheapest. It only covers consultations and simpler procedures. We don't have the money for such an operation. So I called my mom. I asked for help. For the first time in my life, I asked not for a loan, but for help saving my child's life. And she replied that Blair's wedding was more important. I'm standing in the hospital corridor looking at my phone and realizing that my life has just been divided into before and after. Before that call, I still believed that somewhere, deep down, my parents loved me, that when things got really tough, they would be there for me. Now I know the truth, and that truth burns worse than any tumor. Devin arrives at the hospital at 8 in the evening. His eyes are red, his clothes are stained with grease. He's been working since 6 in the morning, now almost 14 hours on his feet. He hugs me, and I can smell gasoline and metal. "What did your mom say?" he asks quietly. I can't answer. I just shake my head. He understands without words. He hugs me tighter, and I finally let myself cry. Here, in his arms, in the empty hospital corridor where no one can see us. "We'll figure something out," he says. "We'll find the money somehow." But I hear in his voice what I feel myself: despair, hopelessness. The next morning, we sit in the kitchen with a calculator and a pile of papers. Devin writes numbers on a sheet of paper from his notebook. "We can sell the car for $12,000, maybe a little more if we find a buyer quickly," he says. "I've already written an ad." "I have a guy at work who's looking for something like that. That will leave us without transportation," I say automatically. "Mary?" He looks at me in a way that makes me feel ashamed. We don't need a car if Ethan is gone. I remain silent. He's right. Of course he's right. I can take on extra work, Devin continues. Carlos said he has weekend shifts available, another $5,000 a month, $10,000 in 2 months. We don't have 2 months. Then I'll take an advance. I'll ask Carlos. He's a good guy. He'll give it to me. I write it down on a piece of paper. $12,000 for the car, maybe $5,000 advance. 17. 85 is like heaven. I can take an advance too, I say. There's an emergency fund at work, maximum $3,000, and I can ask Charlene. Charlene is my colleague, 8 years older than me, with whom I've been selling houses for 4 years. She's one of the few people I can call a true friend. We can take out a loan, Devin says, but I see him clench his jaw. We both know that our credit history isn't the best. My student loans, his credit card, which we had to max out last year when the car broke down. The next 2 days pass at a frantic pace. Devin sells the car for $11,500 to a guy from his work who comes with cash. I watch our old Honda drive down the street and feel something tighten in my chest. That car took us to the hospital when I gave birth to Ethan. We sang songs in it on long drives. His favorite toy car is still in the back seat, but it's just a car. Ethan is everything. I go to Charlene. She is sitting in her office looking at photos of a new property. When I walk in, she immediately sees from my face that something is wrong. Mary, what's wrong? I tell her everything. About the tumor, about the money, about my parents refusing to help. Charlene listens silently, and I see her face change. Anger, then sympathy. How much do you need? She asks when I finish. We've raised about $20,000 so far. We need another $65,000. Charlene gets up and goes to the safe in the corner of the office. She opens it and takes out a checkbook. I'll give you $15,000, she says simply. I'll write the check right now. Charlene, I don't even know when I'll be able to pay you back. Mary, she looks at me sternly. I'm not asking when you'll pay me back. I'm saying I'm giving you the money. Pay me back when you can. Or don't. I don't care. It's for Ethan. I cry again. It seems like I haven't done anything else these past few days. Charlene hugs me, and I feel gratitude mixed with shame. A stranger is giving me more than my own parents. That same day, a message arrives from Devin's mother, Gloris. She lives in another state, retired after 30 years as a nurse. We rarely see each other, maybe once a year. But when Devin told her about Ethan, she came the next day. Now she's sitting by Ethan's bed, holding his little hand. When I approach, she stands up. Mary, I need to talk to you. We go out into the hallway. Gloris takes a small box out of her bag. This is the ring that Devin's father gave me, she says. I wore it for 42 years. After he died, I thought about giving it to Devin when you got married, but you wanted a new one, and that was right. It's your family, your choice. I open the box. Inside is a beautiful wedding ring with a small diamond. Simple, but elegant. I took it to be appraised, Gloris continues. He says it can be sold for $12,000. I want you to take that money for Ethan. Gloris, no, I can't. It's your wedding ring. It's a memory of... The memory is in my heart, she interrupts firmly. This is just metal and stone. What are they worth compared to my grandson's life? I cry for the 3rd time today. Gloris hugs me, and I realize that this is what a real family looks like. Not one bound by blood, but one bound by love. I get another $3,000 from the fund at work. Devin keeps another $5,000 as an advance from his boss. We sell everything we can. The TV, my old camera that I no longer use, Devin's tools that he doesn't need for work. Every item is a step closer to the amount we need. I start a campaign on GoFundMe. I write Ethan's story, add his photos, how he smiles, how he plays with the neighbor's dog, how he eats ice cream. I post links on all social networks. I ask my friends to share. It's embarrassing to ask. It's scary to show the world how helpless we are. But the fear of losing my son is stronger than my pride. The money comes in small amounts. $20 from a former classmate, $50 from someone I don't even know personally, but who saw a post on someone else's page, $100 from our neighbor, who also has a young son. Each amount represents someone's good heart, someone's belief that Ethan should live. In 2 weeks, GoFundMe raises $28,000. Every night I sit and read the comments under the post. Hang in there, pray for your little one. I sent what I could. May everything be fine. Our children are our everything. I wish you strength. People I don't know give us hope, and my own parents are silent. Finally, we raise the necessary amount, $86,400. A little more than we need, but the doctor says it's better to have a reserve in case of complications. I transfer the money to the hospital and they schedule the surgery for the following week. The surgery lasts 9 hours. Devin and I sit in the waiting room, not eating, not drinking, just sitting and staring at the door. Gloris sits next to me, holding my hand. Charlene comes for a few hours, bringing coffee and sandwiches, which we don't touch. When the surgeon finally comes out, I can't breathe. He takes off his mask and I try to read his face. The operation was successful, he says, and the world regains its color. We removed the entire tumor. The next 2 days are critical, but I am optimistic. Devin holds me by the shoulders because I start to fall. Gloris is crying. Charlene smiles through her tears. Ethan spends 2 weeks in intensive care. I sit by his bed every day from morning till night. Devin comes after work, takes my place, and I go home, take a shower, sleep for a few hours, and come back again. During all this time, his parents don't show up. They don't call. They don't write. They remain silent as if we don't exist. One day, as I sit by Ethan's bed reading to him, even though he is still unconscious, a message comes from Blair. "Hi, how is Ethan? I hope everything is okay. I'm very busy with the wedding right now. Sorry I can't come kisses." I stare at this message for a long time, at the pink heart at the end, at busy with the wedding. My son was fighting for his life on the operating table, and she was busy choosing flowers. I don't reply, I just delete the message. A month later, Ethan is transferred to a regular ward. He regains consciousness and starts talking. His voice is weak, but he smiles when he sees me. He says, "Mom," and reaches out his arms. I hug him gently, afraid of hurting him, and cry with happiness. One day, visitors come to the neighboring ward. Grandma and Grandpa with a big toy car for their grandson. I see the child in the next room rejoicing as he hugs them. Ethan looks at them through the open door. "Mom," he asks quietly, "why aren't Grandma Janet and Grandpa Gordon coming? Are they mad at me?" My heart breaks into pieces. "No, sweetie," I lie. "Grandma is sick. She can't come, but she loves you very much." "When will she get better?" "Soon, sweetie, soon." He falls asleep and I sit and look at his little face, freckles on his nose, red hair that started growing back after the operation. He doesn't know yet that Grandma and Grandpa chose the wedding over him, that they will never recover from the disease called indifference. In the evening, I open Facebook. Mistake. Huge mistake. There's a new photo on Blair's wall. She's standing in a wedding salon in a luxurious white dress. Caption, "Finally found the one. $8,000, but it's worth it. Can't wait for my big day." $8,000 for a dress that she will wear once, on one day. And my son almost died because they felt sorry for $85,000. I close my phone. My hands are shaking so much that I almost drop it. 2 more months pass. Ethan is getting better. The doctors say he's a champ, that he's a fighter. We finally go home. I carry him over the threshold of our house and he laughs. Devin makes his favorite pancakes. The 3 of us sit in the kitchen, and it's the happiest moment in the last 3 months. The next day, I find a large card in the mailbox. Cream paper, gold embossing. I open it. "We invite you to the wedding of Blair Phelps and Preston Woodford, June 23rd at 6 p.m. Grand Plaza Hotel. Dress code, formal." I stare at this card for a long time, at these gold letters, at this luxurious paper which must have cost $5 a sheet. I go to the kitchen. Devin is washing the dishes. I take the card in both hands and tear it in half, then again and again, until only small pieces of cream-colored paper with gold remain. "Okay?" Devin asks. "Okay," I say. That evening, I open the family chat in Messenger. There's Mom, Dad, Blair, and me. The last message from 2 months ago is Mom's, "How are you?" which I didn't reply to. I write briefly, "Please do not contact me or my family anymore. You made your choice. I made mine." I block Mom. I block Dad. I block Blair. I delete their numbers from my phone. I unfriend them on all social media. Devin comes up behind me and hugs me. "Are you sure?" "Yes," I say. And for the first time in 3 months, I feel something like peace. I don't want anything to do with them anymore. He kisses me on the top of my head. "I support you. Always." I go to Ethan's room. He's asleep, hugging his teddy bear. He's breathing evenly, alive, healthy. And somewhere out there, in their big house, my parents are preparing for a $230,000 wedding. And they probably don't even feel ashamed. 5 years is a long time. Long enough to learn to live without the people I once considered family. Long enough for the scars to heal, though they haven't disappeared completely. Ethan is 11 now. He's tall for his age. His red hair sticks out in all directions. His freckles have become brighter from the summer sun. He plays baseball on the school team, as a pitcher. Last month, they won the district championship, and I cheered so loudly from the stands that Devin joked that I could be heard in the next town over. Ethan is healthy. The scar on his stomach is a reminder of what we went through, but the doctors say he is in complete remission. Every 6 months we go for a checkup, and every time I hold my breath until the doctor says all clear. I don't know if I'll ever stop being afraid, but for now, he's alive, smiling, laughing, playing with his friends. That's all that matters. I am now a senior realtor at our agency. Charlene helped me grow professionally, recommended big clients, and taught me all the ins and outs. Last year, I sold a house for $1,200,000 and received a commission that made my head spin. Devin and I paid off almost all our debts. I paid back the $15,000 to Charlene with interest, even though she refused to take it. I bought Gloris a new wedding ring, not as expensive as the one she sold, but beautiful. She cried when I gave it to her. We moved to a better neighborhood a year ago. It's a small but cozy house with 3 bedrooms and a backyard where Ethan can play. I finally have my own office. Devin set up a garage workshop for himself. We bought a new car, not an old Honda, but a decent Toyota. Life has settled down. It has become what it should be. Calm, predictable, happy. I don't think about my parents. Well, I try not to think about them. Sometimes when I see a woman my mother's age with her adult daughter laughing together in the supermarket, something tightens in my chest. Sometimes when Ethan asks about his grandparents and I tell him that they live far away and we don't talk, it hurts. But it's a dull pain, an old wound that is already healed. I've learned to live without them, and that's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Today is Saturday, September, and the warm sun is shining through the kitchen window. I'm making breakfast. Ethan is still asleep after yesterday's training, and Devin is tinkering with something in the garage. The phone rings. An unfamiliar number, a local area code. I pick up automatically, thinking it might be a client. "Hello? Mary?" My mother's voice. I haven't heard it in 5 years, but I recognize it immediately. It's different, older, more tired, but it's her. My heart skips a beat. My fingers squeeze the phone so hard it hurts. "Mary, dear, it's Mom," she continues when I don't answer. "Please don't hang up. I need to talk to you." "How did you get my number?" I ask coldly. "I blocked your contacts." "I called from my neighbor's phone," my mother says, and I can hear her crying. "Mary, we need your help." We're in big trouble. Trouble, I repeat. My voice sounds foreign, as if someone else is speaking. "Dad's business is in trouble," Mom says quickly, choking on her words. "Big debts. We could lose the house. The bank has already sent a warning. We need money, or we'll be evicted." I remain silent. I look out the window at our cozy backyard where there is a swing that Devin made for Ethan with his own hands. And Blair, Mom continues. She and Preston are getting divorced. He filed for divorce 6 months ago. She is now living with us with her 2 children. She has no money, no job. Mary, we have nowhere to go. We are your family. And what do you want from me? I ask. My voice is calm, but my hands are shaking. Pause. Then Mom says quietly, "We need money to pay off the bank loan. $40,000. I know you're making good money now. Charlene told a friend and she told me. Of course. Charlene didn't know she was telling someone who would pass the information on to my parents. No, I say simply. Mary, please. Mom cries louder. We're your parents. We raised you. Can't you help us? Like you helped me? Silence. Then I hear someone pick up the phone. My dad's voice, rough, irritated. Mary, it's your father. Stop this nonsense. We are your parents. You have to help. It's your duty. Something cold and hard settles in my chest. Duty, I say quietly. How did you help my son when he needed surgery to stay alive? That was 5 years ago, Dad yells. Can't you get over it? How long is this going to go on? We explained that we didn't have the money then, but you had $230,000 for Blair's wedding. That was different. Our daughter's wedding. Isn't Ethan your grandson? I interrupt. My voice rises even though I'm trying to hold back. He didn't deserve to live? Don't be dramatic. Mom takes the phone again. He's alive. Everything turned out fine. See, we didn't need that money. He recovered anyway. I can't believe my ears. They really say that. He recovered because we sold everything we had, I say through clenched teeth. Because we took out a bunch of loans that we paid off for 5 years. Because strangers I don't even know gave money to save him. And you, his grandparents, chose a party over his life. Mary, we're family, Mom cries again. Family has to forgive. You can't turn your back on us. No, I say. My voice is quiet but firm. You're not family. Family doesn't let a child die for a wedding cake. Family doesn't disappear when things get tough. You're not family. You're selfish, Dad yells in the background. Heartless. We raised you, fed you, clothed you. You did the bare minimum for me, I say. And now you want me to give you $40,000? After everything? No. Find someone else. I hang up the phone. My hands are shaking so badly that the phone falls onto the table. I stand in the middle of the kitchen, breathing heavily, as if I've just run a marathon. Devin comes in from the garage and sees my face. What happened? I tell him. He listens silently, his jaw clenched. You did the right thing, he says when I finish. They don't deserve your help. He hugs me, and I stand in his arms trying to calm down. Ethan comes out of his room, sleepy, and goes to the kitchen. Mom, what happened? He asks when he sees me. Nothing, sweetie, I say, quickly wiping away my tears. Everything's fine. For the rest of the day, I try not to think about the call. But in the evening, when Ethan goes to bed, I sit on the couch and can't calm down. Devin is watching a movie, but I can't see the screen. The following Tuesday, I work from home. The house showing has been canceled, so I sit in my office sorting through documents. Suddenly, I hear someone knocking on the front door. I look through the window. Mom and Dad are standing on the porch. My heart skips a beat. I don't open the door. I just stand there and look at them through the window. Mom knocks again, louder. Mary, Mary, we know you're home. The car is here. Open up. I don't move. Mary, please. Mom is crying. We need to talk. Open the door. Dad bangs on the door so hard that it seems like he's going to break it down. Mary, you can't ignore us. We're your parents. You have to listen to us. I stand still. They knock, shout, beg. 10 minutes pass. 20. I see my neighbor across the street looking out her window. Then another neighbor comes out onto his porch and looks over. Half an hour later, my mom sits down on the porch steps and cries loudly. My dad keeps knocking. We're not leaving until you open the door, he yells. You hear me? We'll stand here as long as it takes. I take out my phone. I dial the police number. "Hello, I want to report a disturbance. There are people at my address who refuse to leave and have been knocking on the door for an hour." The dispatcher writes down the address and says they will send a patrol. 15 minutes later, a police car pulls up. 2 officers get out and approach my parents. I open the door. "This is my daughter." My mother points at me. "We just want to talk." "Ma'am?" One of the officers, a young man, turns to me. "Do you know these people?" "Yes," I say calmly. "They're my parents. I ask them to leave, but they refuse. I don't want to talk to them." "Miss Phelps," the officer addresses my mother, "you must leave. This is private property and the owner does not want to see you." "But she's my daughter," my mother shouts. "We have family problems. You can't separate us." "Ma'am, if you don't leave now, I'll have to arrest you for disturbing the peace and trespassing," the officer says firmly. Dad grabs Mom's hand. "Let's go, Janet. She'll regret this. You'll see." They walk to the car. Mom turns around and yells, "You'll regret this, Mary. When you're old and lonely, no one will come to you. You've lost your family." "I lost you 5 years ago," I say quietly, but she can't hear me anymore. The officers stay for a few more minutes to make sure my parents are gone. The young officer gives me a card. "If they come back, call immediately. You can file a restraining order if you want." I thank him and go into the house. I close the door and lean against it with my back. My hands are shaking. My heart is pounding. Devin calls half an hour later, and I tell him everything. He comes home early and hugs me. "Maybe we really should file a restraining order," he says. "We'll see," I say. I hope they understand. But a week later, on Monday morning, when Ethan has already left for school and I'm getting ready to go to the show, someone knocks on the door. I open it, thinking it's the mailman. Standing on the doorstep is a woman of about 45, dressed in a business suit with a folder in her hands. "Mrs. Callahan?" she asks. "Yes." "I'm Laura Tamaro from Child Services. We received a report of inappropriate conditions for a child at this address. I need to conduct an inspection." The world stops. I look at her, not understanding her words. "What?" I finally ask. "Someone has filed a complaint that a child in this house is living in unsanitary conditions, may be starving, and the parents may be abusing alcohol. I have the right to check the living conditions. May I come in?" I step back and let her into the house. My head is spinning. I know who did this. I know immediately. And then I realize the war is just beginning. Mrs. Tamaro stands in the middle of my living room and slowly turns around, looking at everything around her. I stand next to her, my hands clenched into fists, trying to breathe evenly. "Can I see the rest of the house?" she asks. Her voice is neutral, professional. "Of course," I say. My voice trembles, even though I try to control it. I lead her through the kitchen. It's clean. The dishes are washed. The floor was mopped last night. I open the refrigerator. It's full of food. Milk, eggs, vegetables, fruit, yogurt for Ethan, leftovers from last night's dinner. Mrs. Tamaro takes notes on her tablet. I lead her upstairs and show her Ethan's room. The bed is made. Books are on the shelves. Toys are neatly stacked in a box. On the wall is a poster of his favorite baseball team, a desk where he does his homework, a lamp, a glass with pencils. "How old is your son?" Mrs. Tamaro asks. 11. "Is he at school now?" "Yes." She makes a few more notes, then looks at me. "Mrs. Callahan, I need to check a few more things. It's standard procedure, don't worry. Can I see your son's medical records? And I'd like to talk to him when he gets back from school." I nod, go to my office, and get a folder with documents. My hands are shaking so much that I can barely open the drawer. I hand her the folder. She flips through it. All his vaccinations, his last doctor's appointment 2 months ago, dentist, eye doctor. Everything is fine. "Mrs. Callahan," she finally says, "I don't see any signs of what was mentioned in the complaint. The house is clean, the child has everything she needs, medical care is adequate. Someone filed an anonymous complaint that the child was living in unsanitary conditions, possibly starving, and that there was suspicion of alcohol abuse on the part of the parents. But I see nothing of the sort." I sit down on the sofa because my legs are giving way. I know who did it, I say quietly. It was my mother. Mrs. Tomorrow sits down opposite me and looks at me intently. Tell me. And I tell her everything. About how Ethan was sick 5 years ago, about how my parents refused to help, about Blair's $230,000 wedding, about how I cut off all ties with them, about the phone call a week ago, about how they came over and I called the police. Mrs. Tomorrow listens silently, her face growing increasingly stern. And now they've decided to get revenge through social services. I finish. To turn you against me so they can take Ethan away, or just to scare me. Mrs. Tomorrow closes her tablet and looks at me. Mrs. Callahan, this is abuse of the system. People file unfounded complaints to get revenge or manipulate others. It takes away our time and resources from real cases where children really need help. I'll close this case as unfounded and make a note that the complaint was false. Can they file again? I ask. Technically, yes, but after I make a note that the first complaint was unfounded, subsequent complaints from the same person will be viewed with greater suspicion. If you know who did this, you can file a complaint about abuse of the system. I nod. She stands up and hands me her business card. If you have any more problems, call me. And don't worry, your son is safe, he has a wonderful home and care. When she leaves, I sit on the sofa for a long time. I look out the window. My heart is pounding so loudly that I can hear it in my ears. They tried to take Ethan away, or scare me into giving in. They set social services on me, told a bunch of lies, that he was starving, that we were alcoholics, that he was living in terrible conditions. My son, whom they never once came to visit when he was in the hospital, between life and death. Something cold and hard settles in my chest. It's not pain, it's not hurt. It's anger. Pure, cold, calculated anger. I can't just let it go. In the evening, when Ethan goes to bed, I sit at my laptop in my study. Devin sits next to me, drinking beer. "What are you doing?" he asks. "Gathering evidence," I say. I open old messages from my mother. I didn't delete them, I just archived them. I scroll back 5, 6, 7 years. Here's a message from 5 years ago. "Mary, can you lend me $3,000? Dad's having problems with the contractor. We'll pay you back in a month, I promise." Here's another one, from 6 years ago. "Honey, we urgently need $2,000. Suppliers are demanding prepayment. You know we wouldn't ask if it weren't difficult." Another one. "Mary, at least $500. We're in a really tight spot right now. We'll pay you back as soon as we can." I take screenshots of every message, every promise to pay back the money. Then I open my bank statements for the last 10 years. I look for all the transfers to my parents. $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $1.5, $800. Over 8 years, that comes to $28,300, not a single repayment. "What are you going to do?" Devin asks. "Sue them," I say, "for unpaid debts." He is silent, then nods. "Okay, I support you." The next day, I look for a lawyer. I find one through Charlene's recommendation, Rebecca Lonsdale, who specializes in family law and debt. I go to her office the next day. She is a woman in her 50s, wearing a strict suit with an attentive gaze. I tell her everything. I show her screenshots of messages and bank statements. She listens and takes notes. Technically, if there is written confirmation that these were loans with a promise to repay, you can file a lawsuit to collect the debt, she says. Even if there was no formal agreement, messages in the messenger can serve as evidence, plus bank transfers. What are the chances of winning? High, especially if they can't prove that they were gifts. And judging by these messages, which clearly say lend and will pay back, they were indeed loans. How much will it cost? She quotes a price. I pause, thinking. It's a lot of money, but I want them to answer. I want them to finally take responsibility. Okay, I say, let's do it. She nods and starts filling out the paperwork. There's one more thing, she says a few days later when she calls me. I checked your credit history to understand your financial situation for the case, and I found something interesting. What? You have an unpaid loan of $15,000, taken out 8 years ago. It's in your name, on your Social Security card. But apparently, you didn't know about it? My heart skips a beat. What? What loan? First Trust Bank, a branch in your city. A loan for $15,000 taken out 8 years ago. It wasn't paid off almost immediately, and now the debt has grown to $32,000 with interest and penalties. That's what's ruining your credit history, I remember. 8 years ago, I was 21. My dad asked me to sign some papers saying it was for his business and he needed a guarantor. I signed without reading it. I trusted him. He's my father. They took out a loan in my name, I say quietly. Yes, says Rebecca, and they didn't pay it back. That's fraud using personal data, a criminal case. You can file a lawsuit and your father could get 2 to 5 years in prison. I'm silent. I don't know what to say. Or, Rebecca continues, you can use this as leverage in our case. Add it to the lawsuit or file it separately. But I advise you to use it as a tool of pressure. By threatening criminal charges, you can force them to agree to your terms. What terms? Full payment of the debt, a public admission of guilt, a ban on contacting you and your family, whatever you want. I think for a long time. Devin sits next to me, waiting. I don't want to put my father in jail, I finally say. Are you sure? Rebecca asks. After what they did? Trying to take your son away through social services is serious. I know. But if I put him in jail, I'll be just like them. I want justice, not revenge. Devin takes my hand. Whatever you say, he says quietly. Okay, Rebecca says. Then we'll use this as leverage. I'll send them an offer through their lawyer, and they'll have to hire one when they get sued. Either they agree to your terms, or you file a criminal complaint for fraud. They'll have a week to decide. What are my terms? I ask. What do you want? I think. What do I want? Money? No, I don't need their money anymore. Apologies? They're worthless unless they're sincere. I want them to pay all their debts, I say. The $28,000 they borrowed from me, and $32,000 for that loan. That's $60,000. Okay. And I want a written commitment to never contact me, my husband, or my son again. No calls, no messages, no visits, nothing. If they violate this, a $10,000 fine for each violation. Rebecca writes it down. Anything else? I think. Yes, there's one more thing. I want a written admission that they filed a false complaint with social services and an official apology to social services for abusing the system. That will be difficult to get, Rebecca says. It's essentially an admission of wrongdoing. I know, but if they don't do it, I'm filing a criminal complaint. Let them choose. She is silent, then nods. Okay, I'll take care of everything. I'll prepare the lawsuit next week and send it to them. Then, when they find a lawyer, I'll send them our terms. I hang up the phone. I sit in my office looking out the window. It starts to rain outside, drops running down the glass. Devin hugs me from behind. Are you sure? Yes, I say. They tried to take Ethan away. They used social services to scare me. They lied that he was starving, that we were alcoholics. They could have ruined our lives. I can't just let it go. I'm with you, he says. Always. A week later, Rebecca calls. The lawsuit has been filed. They should receive it tomorrow. Be prepared for them to try to contact you. But they don't call. They don't write. They remain silent. Another week later, Rebecca informs me that they have hired a lawyer, some guy named Roger Kincaid, who specializes in civil cases. I sent him our terms, she says. Now we wait. They have a week to respond. The week drags on endlessly. I try to work, show houses, talk to clients, but I can't stop thinking about what my parents will say. Will they come to me? Will they agree? Will they refuse? Finally, on Friday evening, Rebecca calls. They've responded, she says. Her voice is tense. And? They're refusing. Their lawyer says your demands are too harsh and that they don't admit guilt. They're offering a compromise to pay half the amount and close the case. I'm silent. I feel a chill spreading through my chest. Mary? Rebecca asks. File a criminal complaint, I say quietly, for fraud. Let them go bankrupt on lawyers. Let my father learn what real responsibility is. Are you sure? This is a serious step. Yes, I say, and my voice doesn't tremble. They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. I hang up the phone. I sit in the darkness of the office. Outside the window, it's already night, and the city is lit up with lights. Devin comes in and turns on the light. What did you decide? War, I say simply. They wanted war. Now they're going to get it. The phone rings at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. An unknown number. I answer, still sleepy. You want to put your own father in jail? Dad yells so loudly that I pull the phone away from my ear. Are you out of your mind? This is a criminal case. I could go to prison. I sit down on the bed. Devin wakes up next to me and looks at me questioningly. Good morning, Dad, I say calmly. Yes, I filed a criminal complaint for fraud. You took out a loan in my name 8 years ago and didn't pay it back. That's a crime. I didn't do it on purpose. The business went under. There was no money, you understand. I understand that you used my personal information without my knowledge and ruined my credit history for years, I say. My voice is even and cold. I understand that, because of you, I couldn't get a normal loan when my son was dying. I understand a lot of things, Dad. Mary, don't do this. His voice becomes pleading. I'm your father. You can't put me in jail. What will people say? I want you to finally answer for your actions, I say. The choice is yours. My lawyer sent the terms. Either you accept them or we go to court. $60,000. We don't have that kind of money. Find it. Sell the house, take out a loan, ask Blair, her ex-husband. I don't care. You have a choice. Pay or go to jail. Make up your mind. I hang up the phone. My hands are shaking, but I feel a strange sense of relief. For the first time in my life, I didn't give in. I didn't agree. I didn't swallow it. An hour later, I get a message from my mom. She's texting from the neighbor's phone again because I blocked all their numbers. Mary, we're family. How can you do this to your own parents? We raised you, fed you, loved you. And this is how you thank us? You want to destroy us? I stare at the message for a long time. Then I write a reply. A family doesn't do what you did to me. A family doesn't let their grandchild die for the sake of a wedding. A family doesn't set social services on their own daughter. You are not a family. You are people with whom I share DNA. That's all. I block that number too. In the evening, while Ethan is playing in the yard with the neighbor boy, a message comes from Blair. I didn't block her. I just deleted her from my friends on social media and didn't respond to her rare messages. Mary, I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need to talk to you. It's important. Please. I ignore it, but she writes again. This isn't about Mom and Dad. It's about me. Please give me 5 minutes. Then again, you've always been jealous. You just didn't like that I was loved more, and now you're getting revenge by using that old story with Ethan. Something clicks inside me. I respond for the first time in 5 years. They didn't love you more, Blair. They made you their doll, their project, their toy. Look at yourself. 31 years old, divorced, no career, no money, living with your parents with 2 children. They didn't love you. They ruined you. They made you dependent on them, incapable of living on your own. So don't talk to me about love. I send it and immediately regret it. Why did I write that? Blair is already suffering. But suddenly a reply arrives. You're right. I stare at those 2 words. Then, can we talk? In person? I'll come to you, or we can meet somewhere. Please, Mary. I show it to Devin. He reads it, frowns. Maybe it's a trap? Maybe her parents sent it? Maybe, I say, but something tells me it's not. I write to Blair, okay, tomorrow at 2. You know my address. The next day at 2, the doorbell rings. I open the door. Blair is standing on the doorstep, and I almost don't recognize her. She was always bright, well-groomed, perfect. Now she's lost weight. Her hair is tied back in a simple ponytail. She has dark circles under her eyes, and she's wearing old jeans and a plain t-shirt. No makeup. She looks tired and much older than her 31 years. "Hi," she says quietly. "Hi," I say. "Come in." I lead her into the kitchen and make coffee. She sits down at the table and looks out the window. "Nice house," she says. "You're doing great. Really great." "Thanks." We sit in silence. I put a cup of coffee in front of her and sit down across from her. "What did you want to talk about?" Blair takes a sip and puts the cup down. Her hands are shaking. "Preston filed for divorce a year ago," she says quietly. "Officially, the reason was irreconcilable differences, but the real reason was my mother. She was constantly interfering in our lives. She would show up unannounced, give advice on how to raise the children, criticize everything I did. Preston put up with it for 3 years, and then he said, either I set boundaries with my mother or he's leaving. I remained silent, listening. I tried to talk to my mother," Blair continues. "I asked her to interfere less. She threw a tantrum. She said I was ungrateful, that she was just looking out for me, that I couldn't handle it on my own, and I couldn't stand it. I told Preston that my mom was right, that I really needed her help. He left the next day." She wipes the tears streaming down her cheeks. "Now he has the kids half the time. He pays child support, but that's it. I live with my parents. I looked for a job, but it turned out I didn't know how to do anything. I don't even know how to write a resume. My mom always did everything for me. She chose my university, my major, my clothes, my friends. She even approved of Preston because he was from a good family. I realized that I was empty. I don't know who I am without my mom. I look at her, and for the first time in my life, I see not a rival, not a beloved sister who took all the attention. I see a victim just like me, only from the other side." "You were right yesterday," Blair says. "They ruined me. They made me dependent. And now I'm 31. I have 2 children. No job, no money, no skills. I live in my childhood room in my parents' house, and I don't know how to get out of here." "Why did you come to me?" I ask quietly. "Because I want you to know." She looks me in the eyes. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know what happened with Ethan. It's unforgivable. I saw those photos of him in the hospital on your Facebook before you blocked me. I saw him lying there, hooked up to machines, and I was ashamed. So ashamed that I couldn't even look at my reflection in the mirror. But I didn't do anything, because my mom said you were exaggerating, that everything would be fine. And I believed her, because I always believed her. I was so under her control that I was afraid to even think for myself. I'm silent. I don't know what to say. Blair takes an envelope out of her bag and puts it on the table. "This is all I could save. $5,000. I know it's a drop in the bucket compared to what you spent on Ethan, but it's all I have. I want you to take it." I look at the envelope. "Blair, please," she says. "I need to do something right. Anything." I take the envelope. I open it. There are $50, $100 bills inside. "Thank you," I say quietly. She stands up. "I'm leaving. Sorry for taking up your time." "Blair," I stop her. "If you want, we can talk sometimes. Not often, carefully, but we can try." She looks at me hopefully. "Really? You're a victim too." "I understand that now, and if you really want to change, I can give you a chance." She rushes toward me and hugs me. I stand still, then slowly hug her back. A week later, Rebecca calls. "The case is going to trial. They're not accepting the terms." "Your father says he doesn't owe anything, that you're making it up. The court hearing is in 2 weeks." "Okay," I say. "We're ready." Court is long, boring, and exhausting. We sit in the courtroom, waiting. My parents sit on the other side with their lawyer. My mother doesn't look at me. My father glares at me. During the hearing, it turns out that I'm not the only one whose parents owe money. Their lawyer tries to justify them, saying that times were hard, that the business went downhill. But Rebecca shows evidence. Their cruises, Blair's expensive wedding, purchases that don't match their claims of hard times. The judge listens attentively. When it comes to the loan taken out in my name, the judge's face becomes stern. Mr. Phelps, do you admit that you took out a loan in your daughter's name without her knowledge that it would be a loan and not a guarantee? Dad hesitates. I thought she understood. She signed the papers. She signed the papers thinking she was becoming a guarantor, not the primary borrower, the judge says coldly. That's fraud, Mr. Phelps. The case with social services is also being considered. Mrs. Tamaro testifies, talking about the unfounded complaint. Rebecca shows records of phone calls where her mother left anonymous messages about the horrible conditions in which Ethan lives. The judge will issue a ruling in a week. Gordon receives a 2-year suspended sentence and is required to pay $60,000 over 3 years. Janet gets 120 hours of community service for the unfounded complaint and a $5,000 fine. The court order also prohibits them from contacting me, Devin, and Ethan for 5 years. Any contact will result in a $10,000 fine. We leave the courthouse. The sun is shining outside. Birds are singing. Devin takes my hand. How are you feeling? I think. How am I feeling? Empty, I say honestly. I thought I would feel triumphant, but it's just emptiness and exhaustion. You did what you had to do, he says. You protected our family. I nod. He's right. I did. But that doesn't make me happy. Just calm. In the evening, Ethan comes up to me in the kitchen. He knows part of what's going on. Not everything. He's still too young for all the details. But he knows there was a court case with Grandma and Grandpa. Mommy, he asks quietly, is it because of me? Because I was sick? I crouch down to be at his eye level. No, sweetie, I say. It's not because of you. It's because sometimes people show who they really are, who is real family and who is just called that. And it's not your fault. Not at all. He hugs me. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. Suddenly, I start communicating with Blair. Rarely, cautiously. Once a week, she writes, telling me how things are going. She's gone to therapy. She found a job as an assistant at a dental clinic. It doesn't pay much, but it's a start. She's enrolled in classes and wants to become a dental hygienist. We meet for coffee sometimes. We talk cautiously, avoiding painful topics. We don't talk about our parents. She talks about her children, about her work. I talk about Ethan, about selling houses. We don't become close, but we find some understanding, some kind of truce. A year passes. Life is getting back on track. I sell a particularly large property, a $2 million estate. The commission is insane. We pay off all our debts in full. We buy a new car. We save money for Ethan's college. And we decide to go on vacation. A real vacation, not a weekend, but 2 weeks. To the California coast, to a place where Devin and I dreamed of going even before Ethan was born. I stand on the beach, looking at the ocean. The sun is setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Ethan is building a sandcastle a little further away, and Devin is helping him. They are laughing, and Ethan is shouting something about dragons living in the castle. I look at them and feel calm. For the first time in many years, I feel true peace. I think about how family isn't the people you share blood with. Family is the people who are there for you when times are tough. The people who sell their wedding ring to save your child. The people who give you money without a receipt, just on trust. The people who stand by you when the whole world is against you. Devin comes up behind me and hugs me. What are you thinking about? That we're great, I say. That we did it. You did it, he says. You're the strongest person I know. I turn around and kiss him. Ethan sees us and grimaces. You, parents kissing. We laugh. We go to him and help him finish building the castle, the three of us, a family. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive my parents. Maybe not. Maybe this wound will never fully heal, but I know for sure that I did the right thing. I protected my child. I set boundaries. I responded to injustice. And if that means living without my parents, so be it. Because love cannot be selective. Love does not set conditions, and a real family does not put a price on a child's life. The sun disappears behind the horizon. Ethan pulls me by the hand, wanting to show me something on the shore. I follow him, holding his little hand in mine. And I know, everything will be fine. Not perfect, with scars and pain that sometimes reminds me of itself. But good, because I have Devin, who loves me even when I'm broken. I have Ethan, alive, healthy, happy. I have Charlene, Gloris, people who have shown me what a real family is. And the rest just doesn't matter.